Deus Ex: Human Revolution was an Xbox 360, PS3, and PC first-person role-playing action shooter developed by Edo Studios and Square Enix. Released in 2011, the game has since been reiterated into 3 different versions and expansions. The original 2011 title was critically praised by video game reviewers for its creative use of social interactions and decision-making that make up large components of the gameplay. Deus Ex puts players in the world of Adam Jensen, a private security specialist that works for a growing biotech company that manufactures artificial and biological enhancements for humans. Set in 2027, the world of Deus Ex is a gloomy vision of the near future, in which multinational corporations have replaced national governments as the hegemonic institutions of the day. In the beginning of the game, Adam Jensen is critically wounded after a terrorist attack at the biotech company he is hired to protect. After the attack, the player awakens as a newly enhanced Jensen, and is given the technological capacity to upgrade and become more powerful with various skills and attacks that come from his biological enhancements. From this point on, the player is given the ulterior motive to continue to enhance and strengthen themselves by gaining new abilities. On its face, Deus Ex seems like a quality role-playing action game with uniquely open-ended decision-making capabilities. Since social interaction is a major component of gameplay, the player is tasked with having to become socially intelligent and to tell whether or not the person they are interacting with has their best interest at heart, or is leading them on, or even deceiving them completely. Deus Ex stresses careful decision-making and also provides many instances for players to find their own solution to a problem instead of leading them down a predetermined road. What is particularly unique about Deus Ex is how much freedom the player is given to make decisions. Each interaction or exchange in which a player is given a choice in how to respond is completely up to the player's actions. Although there is always a suggested method of interaction, there are very few times in which the player cannot simply do whatever he or she wants in the situation, giving each decision a uniquely personal quality. Deus Ex is engaging the player in critical thinking through decision making. The choices laid out in the game follow the classical moral formula. The player can do the right thing, example, help a woman who needs you to kill mercenaries hired to murder her, or the player can do the bad thing. They can kill the woman and take the bounty for yourself. Or the player can completely abandon the choices given and do something not explicitly implied in the choices the game offers. Kill the mercenaries and then kill the woman and take her some money and supplies in her apartment. This range of decision-making creates a unique experience for the gamer. Because there is no one way to beat Deus Ex, the game requires creative, critical thinking in order to be experienced properly. The amount of space the player is given to experiment with decision-making is intentionally stressed in the game in order to influence the players to think outside of the normal boundaries of the average role-playing game. The game takes on so many different paths that the game actually rewards players with multiple endings depending on how they play. To experience Deus Ex fully, the gamer is encouraged to think critically and act in whatever interest the gamer pleases. This can mean one can go through the entire game with the sole purpose of gaining abilities enhancements, screwing over anyone and everyone that they can along the way, or a player can play the game completely altruistically and go around gaining experience by helping every person in need. Not only are social interactions used to showcase critical thinking, but also the way in which a player engages enemy combatants and solves puzzles requires some level of critical thinking. Even though the game is designed much like a first-person shooter, Deus Ex is not a shoot-'em-up game. The player is frequently low on ammo and is encouraged to conserve what supplies he has for certain engagements. For other resources, the other resource the player has to solve problems is to use stealth and the element of surprise to gain an advantage on the enemy. Deus Ex forces the player to think carefully about how to engage in each firefight or dangerous situation. Simply running and gunning will get the player killed very frequently and result in extreme frustration. What makes it even more complex is that much like social interactions, there is no one specific way to handle a dangerous situation. Each one can be uniquely dealt with by the player, further enforcing the theme of critical decision-making in the game.